The pen scratches across the maintenance log while hydraulic pumps whine down behind you, a fading mechanical whine under the Missouri heat. Your glove leaves a damp print on the page. Someone is waiting for the aircraft. Someone is always waiting. You don't look up yet, because if you do, you'll have to admit it's the last time. Level 1. The cadet. You're 18. Nobody handed you a spot. You asked for one 3 times before anyone said yes. By then, you already knew how selection worked. The Air Force officer qualifying test, the medical screening, the psychological evaluation, then the panel interview. 4 officers across a table. No wasted movement. No blinking that you noticed. One of them asks what you would do if ordered to bomb a city block containing a confirmed target and possible civilians. The room stays still after the question. You answer cleanly. No hesitation, no speech about morality, no attempt to impress them, just the decision and the reasoning. Someone writes something down. Weeks later, you're in Del Rio, Texas, at Laughlin Air Force Base. The heat arrives before sunrise. At 0430, you're already awake. By 0600, you're in ground school with a notebook open and coffee going cold beside you. Aerodynamics, navigation, meteorology, emergency procedures, checklists become muscle memory, not because they're interesting, because forgetting one line in the air doesn't stay a classroom mistake for long. Your first flight is in a T-6 Texan II, single-engine turboprop, bright canopy, tight cockpit, the smell of plastic and sweat baked into the seat cushions. The instructor says almost nothing. He watches your hands on the controls, watches your eyes, watches what happens when the horizon rolls 40 degrees and the ground fills the windscreen faster than you expected. You correct late. Barely enough. He marks something on his knee board. There are 24 cadets in your class. By month 4, 6 are gone. No ceremony, no warning. You show up one morning and their rooms are empty, their names erased from the board, their schedules reassigned before breakfast. Training continues on time. After that, you stop learning people's hometowns too quickly, and you notice how often everyone checks the board before checking on each other. Level 2. The student pilot. You're 20. The T-38. Talon waits on the ramp like it has no patience for introductions. Twin engine, supersonic, narrow landing gear, sharp enough to punish sloppy hands. People say some aircraft forgive mistakes. This one bargains over them. Every control input feels negotiated with physics, and physics never gets sentimental. Night formation is where the talking stops. 400 knots in darkness. You hold position 30 feet off the lead aircraft's wing, guided by a dim row of blue lights ahead of you and instruments that seem too calm for what they're asking. The canopy reflects your own face back at you. 1 degree of drift is too much. Major Calloway teaches your block, former F-15 pilot. He never raises his voice, which somehow makes everyone quieter. When you wander, he says the same thing. Again, every time your scan breaks down, every time you stare too long at one instrument. Every time your brain tries to process everything at once, pilots who stare at one thing die looking at it. So you scan. Attitude, altitude, airspeed, lead, aircraft, engine instruments, back outside, back again. Some nights you lie in bed and your eyes keep moving in the dark. You graduate in the top third of your class. Good enough to matter, not high enough to relax. Assignment night packs everyone into a room built for celebration and pretending not to care. Names get called, aircraft get assigned, F-16, C-17, KC-135, then yours. B-2 Spirit. The room changes in a way no one mentions. The B-2 is more than a bomber. It's the most advanced flying machine the United States operates, a flying wing, radar invisible, nuclear capable, built by Northrop Grumman, based only at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. There are 20 in existence. The program is classified. The training is classified. Your future is classified. You call your parents that night and tell them you got a good assignment. They ask what you'll fly. You tell them enough to end the question. Level 3. The mission-ready pilot. You're 23. B-2 qualification takes 14 months. The systems you study don't live in public manuals, fly-by-wire architecture, quadruply redundant flight computers, terrain-following radar, GPS-aided targeting. The aircraft has no vertical tail. Software keeps it honest. 4 flight control computers run at once, each capable of carrying the job if the others fail. It doesn't feel like something built from aluminum and wiring. It feels like an idea forced into shape. Your first solo lasts 6 hours. Kansas slides underneath you, then Nebraska, then South Dakota. At 50,000 feet, the curve of the Earth sits faintly at the edge of the cockpit glass. You are one of fewer than 100 people on Earth qualified to fly this aircraft. Back home, nobody knows where you are. Mission-ready qualification comes with a full-profile simulated strike mission. Takeoff from Whiteman, aerial refueling over the Pacific. Penetrate a simulated air defense network. Deliver a weapons package on coordinates in a designated range. Return and land. 32 hours. By the end, your jaw hurts from clenching it in your sleep without realizing you slept at all. No procedural deviations. The evaluator signs your form and says, "Welcome to the 393rd Bomb Squadron." Same unit that flew the Enola Gay in 1945. You read the patch differently after that. Level 4, the aircraft commander. You're 27, left seat now. Responsibility changes shape when your name is attached to the aircraft, the mission, and the person beside you. The B-2 crew is 2 people. Only 2. On a combat sortie, you and one other human being carry enough firepower to redirect history. 16 B-61 nuclear gravity bombs, or 16 conventional weapons. The aircraft costs $2.1 billion. Your mission folder is classified beyond what most generals ever handle. You deploy to Diego Garcia, the joint U.S.-British base in the Indian Ocean. The island feels too small for the reach it represents. From there, the B-2 can strike nearly any point on Earth without refueling. You fly Pacific profiles, readiness exercises nobody announces, missions that exist fully and publicly at the same time. Everyone knows something happened, no one says what. Then one night, the alert comes through. Real-world tasking. You and Captain Reyes receive coordinates, target package, launch window. You strap in, engines ready, systems aligned, and sit there for 4 hours while decision-makers on the other side of the planet decide what kind of morning they want. No order comes. The mission is stood down. You taxi back to shelter. Shut down. Sign the forms. Reyes doesn't mention it. Neither do you. But for weeks afterward, every delay feels louder than engine noise. Level 5. The instructor pilot. You're 31. Now the right seat belongs to students. They remind you of yourself, precise, eager, convinced that skill decides everything. You teach systems, yes, but mostly you teach judgment under pressure. What if the primary targeting system fails over denied territory with 12 minutes to weapons release? What if your co-pilot calls a warning you didn't hear? What if the mission briefed at 1400 no longer matches the world at 0200? Lieutenant Nakamura arrives with perfect scores and an instrument scan clean enough to frame. Then the simulator throws him something unscripted. He freezes for 2 seconds. At altitude, 2 seconds is not small. You note it in the evaluation, not failure. Pattern. Then you run him again and again. Different malfunctions, different timing, same pressure. Eventually the pause disappears. Response arrives before thought has time to stall it. 3 months later, he qualifies. He thanks you like he owes you something. You nod and call the next student in. Later, alone, you wonder how many times Callaway did the same for you without saying it. Level 6. The operations officer. You're 35. Your cockpit is now a building next to the flight line. Schedules, readiness rates, maintenance cycles, mission briefs. The 393rd has 12 primary air crew. Each one must maintain currency, minimum flight hours, weapon system proficiency checks, nuclear evaluations. Everything has to happen at once without breaking the aircraft or the people attached to it. The language changes around you. You stop hearing sortie. You hear posture. Nuclear posture, strategic posture, deterrence messaging. You become part of machinery too large to see all at once. Then the readiness inspection arrives unannounced, exactly as expected. Air Force Global Strike Command, 3 days. Every checklist timed, every procedure observed, every response measured to the second. One aircraft has a maintenance discrepancy logged incorrectly, minor form error. Except in nuclear operations, form errors are never minor. They're evidence the system failed to describe itself accurately. The inspector looks at you. You don't pass it downward. For the next 72 hours, you correct documents across the squadron's maintenance history while crews keep operating around you. You pass marginally. Your wing commander calls you in. Marginally is still passing. Then he waits. You understand the second sentence without hearing it. Before the next inspection, no one in the squadron jokes about paperwork anymore. Level 7. The Squadron Commander. You're 40. You command the 393rd Bomb Squadron, approximately 300 personnel, pilots, navigators, weapons officers, maintenance crews, intelligence analysts, support staff. Every chain above you leads higher until it reaches the Oval Office. Your aircraft sit on continuous alert, not symbolic alert, real alert. At any hour, any day, a B-2 from your squadron can be armed, crewed, and airborne within minutes of an authenticated presidential order. You build rotation policies around training, alert duty, and rest. Sleep deprivation is treated like fuel contamination, an operational hazard, not a character flaw. Lieutenant Colonel Ferris requests a profile deviation on a training mission. Minor route change, better fuel efficiency. His math is right, his reasoning is solid. You deny it. He asks why. Because deviations need approvals. Approvals need justifications. Justifications need time. And time is the one variable this aircraft cannot afford to treat casually. He nods. His face says he disagrees. You recognize the look instantly. It used to belong to you. Level 8. The Wing Commander. You're 45. You command the 509th Bomb Wing, the only B-2 wing in the world. Aircraft, personnel, facilities, nuclear weapons stored in hardened igloos beneath Missouri soil. You travel more than you fly now. Washington. Stratcom headquarters in Omaha, Pentagon briefings, rooms with unlabeled maps because labels would only slow things down. In one briefing, a general you've respected for years argues against a readiness posture change. Logical case. Solid data. Heads around the table nod. You disagree. The room goes quiet in a particular way. The kind that means everyone is recalculating risk. You make your case without volume. Maintenance cycle impacts, crew fatigue accumulation, operational risk during transition, no speeches, no theatrics. 3 weeks later, the posture change is modified, not canceled, modified. Nobody credits you formally. By then, you've learned public credit usually arrives after the useful part is over. Level 9. The Strategic Commander, you're 51, 2-star General Officer. Now you advise on strategic bomber force structure, nuclear modernization timelines, and integration of the B-21 Raider, the B-2's eventual replacement, into the existing fleet. Built by Northrop Grumman under a contract awarded in 2015, the B-21 is designed to carry the same nuclear and conventional mission sets as the B-2, with updated stealth materials, lower operating costs, and a larger planned fleet. You've seen the classified performance data, you know what it means. An aircraft can be irreplaceable and still be replaced. A junior analyst briefs transition timelines. His numbers are optimistic. His assumptions underestimate how long it takes to convert experienced B-2 crews to a new platform. You correct him gently, specifically, with data. Afterward, a colleague says that analyst will remember that for the rest of his career. You think of Major Calloway in the T-38, again, same tone, same standard. You tell him, good, he should. Only later does it occur to you that Calloway never taught scanning alone. He taught inheritance. Level 10. The Last Flight. Your 56, final B-2 flight. Training profile only. No weapons, no alert. Your co-pilot is young, sharp, careful. You fly over the same American planes you crossed 33 years earlier during your first B-2 qualification sortie. You don't announce anything special. You brief it like any other mission. You fly it like any other mission. At 50,000 feet over Nebraska, you let the autopilot hold altitude for 60 seconds. Outside the cockpit glass, the curve of the Earth waits where it always has. You think about missions that never launched. Launch windows that closed before orders came. The night at Diego Garcia. 4 hours armed on the ramp while the world made up its mind. You think about Reyes, Nakamura, Ferris. Some command squadrons now, one of them will likely take the chair you're leaving. You think about the 20 aircraft. And the 2 lost in accidents over the years. One in 2008 at Anderson Air Force Base, Guam. A moisture-induced sensor failure causing a rotation error on takeoff. Both crew members ejecting safely. The remaining fleet keeps flying. Your co-pilot says nothing. He knows something matters here, even if he doesn't know what. You descend into Whiteman. Smooth landing, part habit, part pride, taxi to shelter, shut down engines, post-flight checklist, maintenance log, helmet bag to the crew chief. Then you walk across the ramp in the Missouri afternoon and keep your eyes forward, not because what's behind you means nothing, because you already know exactly what's there. 33 years, 20 aircraft, 1 mission type, total secrecy. The sky never knew your name. That was always the point.